Hi, my name's Isaac, and this is a 2022 Ram TRX Ignition Edition, and today I'm gonna review it for you guys. I cannot wait for the driving segment where we will floor this thing down the highway, no faster than the top legal speed limit of 65 miles per hour, of course. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Allentown Kia. This is actually one of the manager's personal vehicles, and he's graciously allowed me to borrow it for this review. So if you're in the market for a Kia or even a TRX, I'll leave a link to their website in the description below. As I mentioned up top, this is the Ignition Edition, which means it comes in this exclusive orange color with some unique accents and unique wheels. This was a very limited run edition of the TRX. Only, I think, a little over 800 of these were made for the world. So I am thrilled that I was able to get my hands on one of these things. Starting out up front here with the styling, it is incredible. I think it's one of the most aggressive looking trucks in the industry. I say aggressive looking fairly often on this channel, but man, do I mean it on this TRX. It has really bold, really standout styling. Where to even begin? All right, let's start with the headlights. You'll have full LEDs, of course, and LED daytime running lights, which double as your turn signals. You'll have LED fog lights down here. And you get these marker lights up here because of the width of the truck. They're up there and they're down here on the sides of the fender just to show its width at night because it's such a large vehicle. Just one more thing to add to that cool factor when you see these lights coming up at night. On the grille, you have Ram spelled out here, but the lettering is actually open on this truck to allow more air to pass through. The 6.2 liter supercharged Hemi V8 needs as much air as it can get, so that's a nice little detail as well. Then you'll have parking sensors down here on the bottom, gigantic skid plate, and tow hooks. There is also some graphics up here on the top of the hood, so you'll have a black sticker right there where there's another air intake below those marker lights, and you have functional air vents up here that releases air from the engine, kind of releases heat, I should say, rather, from the engine, and then you'll have a 6.2 liter supercharged badge up there. In fact, even the headlights have a pass-through for air incorporated into them at the side. Moving underneath the hood in the TRX, it is powered by a 6.2 liter supercharged Hemi V8, making a crazy 702 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque. Now that makes it for a 4.5 second 0 to 60 time, which is insane for a pickup truck. That is just wild. Unfortunately, the towing and payload capacity take a little bit of a hit because of the sport performance orientation on this truck, but are you really buying a TRX for towing and payload? I mean, at least it has that. While we're here at the engine, the one thing I wanted to point out that I wasn't able to on my last TRX video because the cover was on was this has a graphic of a T-Rex eating a raptor on the front, a very apparent and obvious dig at Ford for their Ford Raptor. I mean, the marketing for this truck has been bonkers. Moving to the profile of the TRX, right here you're going to have massive 35-inch tires on here, and then these exclusive Ignition Edition 18-inch wheels. They are machine finished and they look gorgeous. Up here you'll have another ventilation vent, and then you'll have your Ram badge right there. And down here you have your 360-degree camera for the 360-degree camera system and a puddle light. You'll also have a turn signal indicator incorporated into this mirror. There is blind spot monitoring, heating, and a blind spot mirror, so double blind spot. I can only imagine how much a mirror like this would cost if it breaks. I mean, at least you don't have to pay for the body color paint match if it does. Moving down here, you'll have keyless entry on the TRX, and you will have running boards equipped on this one. The TRX has 11.8 inches of ground clearance, which is pretty nifty for an off-road truck like this. Definitely able to be taken pretty much anywhere. Then you'll have a huge TRX graphic on the back of the bed. Not many trucks do this anymore, except the really premium off-road models like the Tacoma TRD Pro this and the Raptor. I love to see it though. I think it adds a lot of flavor and cool styling. And then moving to the tail light right here, you'll have sort of a fake pass-through vent right here. It looks like it's non-functional. And then you'll have your blind spot monitoring incorporated into the tail light. Really nice how they've managed to do that. Then you'll get your TRX badge, Ram, spelled out across the tailgate and 4x4. You'll have a backup camera up here, and a little lower, you'll have parking sensors, tow hooks, and your dual exhaust. And of course, your trailer tow package. Like I said, it takes a little bit of a hit in the towing department, but dang, is this a cool truck. And it's obviously able to still tow a good amount of things. Now, I would be doing literally everyone a disservice if I did not do an exhaust note, but I do want to mention up top, the owner of this has attached an aftermarket exhaust system, so it is a little louder than the Ignition Edition normally is. Holy Toledo, I know sports cars that aren't that loud. That is awesome. The last thing I wanted to mention on the lower portion here is there is a kick-out step if you want to get into the bed a little easier, have easier access into there. You have that, and then you can just kick it back into place. Moving up into the bed here, dropping the tailgate, it is dampened, always nice to see, and there is a bed liner in this with cargo tie-downs and LED lights, so pretty well equipped. Unfortunately, no power outlets or anything back here. Would have been nice to see, but again, just little nitpicks. And then jumping up into the bed here, if we move up to the third brake light, normally most car reviewers are not talking about third brake lights, but I'm not most car reviewers. The reason I am is that up here there is a camera for your mirror system. We'll talk about that in a little bit when we move inside, but that is a really nice little detail right there. And that pretty much wraps up the exterior portion of the outside of the truck. Let's take a look inside. Before we move to the interior, I just want to talk about the key fob really quick. It says TRX here on red letters on the back, and then of course you'll get lock and unlock, but in addition to that, you'll also have remote start, and you can drop the tailgate from the key fob. Moving to the interior, starting here with the door panel, one of the other things you're going to get on this Ignition Edition is this really nice orange stitched interior, some nice Alcantara on here, and then orange stitched TRX badges on the seats. Love to see that contrast. I think it works really well with the black interior here. But continuing on with the door, you'll have a Harman and Kardon sound system, incredible sound quality. I won't play it because my iPhone would be doing a disservice to that. But here on the door, you'll have your traditional window controls, lock, unlock, your mirror buttons, and the power folding mirrors right here. Nice to see that. Especially at this price point on the truck. I wouldn't doubt anything else with the quality of how the Ram brand has been recently. They've really knocked it out of the park with features and interior quality. Leather up here where you'd rest your arm, which is really nice, and leather down here as well. Just really solidly built door, feels very firm. I have reviewed a lot of trucks, and sometimes these trucks come out of the factory and they do not feel up to snuff. Looking at you, Chevy. Moving down here, you'll have your lighting controls and then your adjustable brake pedals and your electronic parking brake. Would have been nice to see a traditional manual handle pull parking brake, but that is still okay. You'll have your pedals down there, which are wrapped in chrome, and a Ram badge down here. Of course, you'll have power seatings with adjustable power seats with adjustable lumbar right there. And getting up into the truck, there is a driver's side grab handle, always nice to see. And then if we put our foot on the brake, hit the push button start, listen to that thing purr, and then you'll get your TRX badge right here in the center gauge cluster. That gives you your traditional stuff, digital speedometer, your off-road modes. So there's a button down here for your off-road modes. You can just tap on there, and it gives you a little graphic about which mode you're in. We'll throw this thing into sport mode when we get on the highway with it a little bit later. But anyway, on the steering wheel, traditional Chrysler Fiat buttons, but you do get really nice paddle shifters, and that orange stitching continues throughout right there. And if we move to the infotainment system, this is a 2022 model, so it does have the updated infotainment system for Ram. So it's a little bit spiffier with the Uconnect, and there's a couple more features incorporated into it, which is really nice. It is one of the best infotainment systems in the industry, and trust me, I've reviewed quite a few. Actually, to go back, I will say Chevy might have the quickest. So 1 point to Chevy, 1 minus point, so Chevy's at 0 now. But I think they might have the quickest, but Ram's is very close, and obviously Ram's is a much larger infotainment system with a lot more options, so I really do like that. Navigation, of course, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are incorporated. If we throw it into reverse, you'll have a host of camera options right here. 360-degree reverse camera. If you want to switch to just your front camera, you can, which is great if you're on the trail doing some off-road stuff. There's just a host of different things that you can switch between, which is really nice. It encourages you to take your truck off-road and allows you to kind of have a little bit of a safety belt there, because you can kind of see where you're going a little bit better with this system, which is always nice to see. Down here, you'll have your trailer braking control and your trailer steering. Despite that slightly lower towing capacity, again, they still encourage you to tow. Then you'll have auxiliary buttons here, which is really nice. So let's say you wanted to hook up another trail cam, you could do that, and then it would slap in right here, which is just awesome that Ram is encouraging its customers to do more off-road stuff. Down here, you'll have USB, USB-C, wireless charging right there, and you do get a traditional shifter, which I love to see. Ram has mostly shifted to a dial shifter. There was a shift pun in there somewhere. I didn't mean it on purpose, but you can have it. I like this, though. I prefer the center tunnel shifter to that dial. I think it's a little bit, I don't know, I guess more traditional. I'm used to it more, but I like that Ram did that. I guess they really have learned their market and target audience very well. That nice orange stitching continues down here to your armrest, which is wrapped in Alcantara, and then you have the Ignition Edition TRX badge right here with the VIN and everything like that. And then over on the dashboard, you'll have TRX embossed into your top glove box, so you can open that like that. And then there is also a lower glove box. Man, this interior, though, is just so amazing. Obviously, most vehicle manufacturers can make an interior that looks good, but this also feels good. The seats are very, very comfortable. Of course, you'll get heating and cooling along with a heated steering wheel. And then moving up to the mirror, as I mentioned before, if you flip this right here, you have a rear camera, which is awesome, and then you can just switch back to that. So if there's somebody in the back seats and you can't see past their head, which they would have to be really tall because this is really spacious back seats, you can switch to this camera and it's a little bit easier to see out the back, which is a really neat idea. I have reviewed cars, like the first couple of cars that had this, and I said, I hope that more brands incorporate this. I hope it becomes the norm, like a backup camera would be, and I'm really encouraged to see that this has kind of continued. And then up here, you'll have your rear window. So there's a rear power sliding window, and you have your controls for your panoramic moonroof. That opens up, love to see that. That's basically going to wrap up the front. Let's take a quick look at the back. Moving to the rear seats, the legroom is absolutely insane back here. And I am 5'9", and I have just an incredible amount of headroom as well. I could stay back, you could probably sleep back here if you're my height. Let's see, let's test it. Pretty good room. I'd probably need a pillow, but overall, not a bad place to take a nap. Though you didn't really want to hear me talk about the back seats the whole time, I will touch upon some of the nice features back here. There is heated and cooled seats for the rear passengers. That is a rarity on any vehicle, let alone a pickup truck. You'll have air vents, a household style outlet, and a small storage space and cup holders. Really, really nice to see. And then this middle section, the entire seat folds down, gives you a little bit more storage and cup holders. I mean, awesome. This is even wrapped in the little orange stuff. Ram did not. This is even wrapped in the little orange trim. Ram did not have to go to that lengths, but they did. Absolutely love to see that. The last thing I want to touch upon back here before we take it out is that you can fold these seats up, and you do have a, let me see if I can get, yeah, you do have a pretty flat load floor down here to load stuff in. So Just amazing. Even for the rear seats, they did not skimp on anything on this truck. Let's take this thing for a spin. All right, driving the TRX. We're getting on the highway here. I'm thrilled to finally be able to open one of these things up. My last TRX review, I was not able to do that. Wow, this thing is really responsive for a pickup truck. Instant throttle response, essentially. Gas and go. There's not any lag that I'm really feeling. The steering is very tight, and despite this being very bulky, and you can definitely feel those 35s, it handles quite well. Very comfortable, and I imagine, here we go, on road trips, this thing's nice. One really cool feature I neglected to mention on the interior is that it has a heads-up display which gives you the speed limit, the current speed that you're going, your speedometer, and it actually tells you what road you're on, which I don't think I've ever seen on a heads-up display. I'm sure it's out there, but I haven't seen that on any of the vehicles I've reviewed up until this point, which is wild. Just a crazy cool feature. It's so awesome to see the advanced technology that car companies can do. Well, I think that's going to wrap up my driving impressions for the most part on this TRX. Thank you guys for watching. Well, that is going to conclude my review of this Ram TRX. Thank you guys so much for watching, and before I go, I'd like to say if you have any prayer requests, you can leave those in the comment section below. I am a Christian and I love being able to pray for you guys. Lastly, I like to leave off on a weekly Bible verse. This week's is Hebrews 1:3. This is talking about Jesus here. It says, "He is the radiance of the glory of God, in the exact imprint of his nature, and he upholds the universe by the word of his power. After making purification for sins, he sat down at the right hand of the Majesty on high." That's going to conclude this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.